How are y'all this morning? How are y'all this morning? All right, check this out. My name is Mike Dorsey, and y'all saw the intro here. And my job is to come here and speak to y'all on a topic of gifts plus why equals enough. Your gifts plus your why equals enough. And like Mr. Jenkins mentioned earlier, it's not my job to tell you who you are. It's our job to help you to think a little bit differently so that you can discover who you are and be the best version of yourself. Okay? Now, before we jump into the gifts plus why equals enough, we're going to play a little video here. Has everybody seen the movie Coach Carter? Raise your hand if you've seen the movie Coach Carter. Raise your hand if you've seen Coach Carter. Up in the air so I can see. All right. So some of you know what we're about to see, some of you don't. This is a little short clip, and this is going to explain a little bit of background on what we're going to talk about today. But this whole little clip here is titled Our Deepest Fear. Okay? Hopefully y'all can hear it. Technical difficulty here on the sound. Let's try this one more time.
You're not coming through the microphone?
It wasn't. Not coming through the microphone. So, Jeffrey has to go around.
It's not coming through the microphone?
No, man, it's not loud enough.
You got your volume up all the way up?
Can y'all hear it? Can y'all hear this?
Good. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay. So fellas, the whole premise of this video we're about to watch is about your deepest fear. Okay, and understanding that regardless of what you're scared about, you are enough. You have enough of what's inside of you to be whatever you want to be in life, to do whatever you want to do in life. And I wanted to use this as background. Hopefully we'll get the sound up so that we can learn about it. But that's to get into the notion of gifts plus why equals enough. Have y'all ever heard somebody say that somebody's gifted? Have you ever heard of that? Anybody? So when you say somebody's gifted, what does that mean? You mean you have talent. That's awesome. Anybody else? When you've heard somebody have a gifted athlete, what does it mean to be a gifted athlete? Anybody? Say what now? You're born with it. It's natural. If you're a gifted musician, what does that mean? Anybody? Anybody? Now, check this out. You know we have some prizes for those that participate in this kind of now we'll just end. But yeah, so what does it mean if you're gifted? Nobody can do it as good as you. That's awesome. Give me some other examples. What about like somebody who's gifted in math? What does that mean? You're very good at math. What about somebody who's gifted in science? What does that mean? They do science really good all the time. So when you think about somebody being gifted, you can be gifted in a lot of different things. It's not just sports. It's not just music and entertainment. You can be a gifted speaker. Some people talk really well. How many of y'all know somebody who's always able lot of kids that come to a party. Like they just the ones that can get everything. They could be gifted organizers. They're gifted promoters. They're gifted salespeople. You know, you ever think about this? Everybody knows the producer Puff Daddy. You know, he started off just organizing parties. One of my aunts went to college with him at Howard University. And she would say it was pretty interesting. When he was in college, he was always the kid that was just promoting parties, handing out flyers, promoting parties, handing out flyers, promoting parties, and look what he ended up doing. That was a gift that he had. Everybody couldn't do it. And that's the thing that's unique about a gift. A gift is something that everybody can't do. Does anybody in here think they're gifted in anything in particular? What's up, man? What do you think? That's good. Getting presents, those are gifts that people give to you. But I'm talking about gifts that you have inside of you. Is there anybody that, right here, my man? So you sing a lot, so you're a great singer. Can everybody that you encounter sing really good? Is that something that you've had since you were a little boy? That's something that you have inside of you. You have a natural gift when it comes to singing. What about you? Do you have some gifts? Drumming? That's awesome. Everybody can't drum. Right here. In track. You're a gifted track athlete. Think about this. So you follow track, right? You like to watch track and field, the Olympics and all of that? Do you watch all of that? Do you know who Usain Bolt is? Okay. Usain Bolt is the fastest man to ever walk on the planet. I think he's won like 9, they took one away recently, but he's won 9 gold medals. Okay? Usain Bolt trains really, really hard. He eats well. He has the best coaches. He's on Team Jamaica. He does everything right. But he started off with talent. I can go and eat everything Usain Bolt eats. I can hire the same coaches he hires. I can work out with the same team. I will never be as fast as Usain Bolt. Because he started with a gift. He started being the fastest kid on the playground. He worked hard, he developed it, but he started with a talent. He started with a gift. You understand what I'm saying? So the whole thing about a gift, and the whole thing that we want you all to understand is, when you understand that you have a gift in something, whether it be science, whether it be organizing, whether it be sales, whether you're a great communicator, whether you're a person who can talk to anybody. You know, I've been a person since I was like 2 or 3 just talking to everybody. So it's like I might as well make money doing what, I've been gifted to do. Because everybody can get up and talk in front of people. Whether it be 10 people or 10,000, it doesn't matter. You have to understand your gifts. But the thing is, kids, we have to take time to identify our gifts. We have to take time to realize it and understand that your gift is not going to be the same gift that everybody has. And that's okay. Y'all understand that? It's okay to be different. It's okay. And we got some examples of some kids or some guys who early on, they had a gift that was recognized, and now they've gone on to do great things. But there was a gift early that they recognized. But the thing about a gift, you have to unwrap it, and you also have to develop it. You have to wrap it. That's true. That's true. You have to wrap it up if you're giving it to somebody. But when you have a gift inside of you, you have to unwrap it, meaning you have to let it out. But then you also have to develop it. Like we were just talking about track and field. You can be the fastest guy on hold on a second. You can be the fastest guy on the playground right now. But if you don't train, if you don't eat right, if you don't have the right coaches, if you don't put yourself in a position to develop, you'll just be the fastest kid on the playground and you won't take it any farther than that. You can be a great drummer, like you were saying, and just play in your bedroom. But unless you practice every day, unless you develop that skill, develop that gift, you'll just be the kid in your room playing on the drums. And that talent will go unrealized. The singing, you can sing all you want in the bathroom. You can sing all you want in the shower, that's cool. But until you develop that, until you build on those skills and develop those, you take that gift, you unwrap it, and you develop it, it'll just be something that you got inside you that you never realized. Okay? Let me get a receipt. And so that's the whole premise of gift. So, definition of gift. What is a gift? A talent or some type of natural ability. A talent or some type of natural ability. And once again, gift plus your why equals enough. Okay, we're just talking about gifts right here. Okay, so what's gift? Anybody? What's gift, my man? What's gift? Talent. What's gift? Somebody, give me some more, What's gift? I want to make sure you're paying attention here. What's a gift? Something you're born with. But what do you also have to do with your gift? You have to develop it. You have to develop it. You have to unwrap that gift and you have to develop it. And is your gift going to be the same as everybody else? Yes. Not necessarily. It could be, but not necessarily. Your gift can be something across the board. It can be something wild and something different, and that's okay. You still have to develop it. Okay, this is not. You can have sound. I got sound. Okay. So you want to show the video on this? It's a way to do it. Okay. All right, now fellas, we're going to let y'all hear something here, and we're going to kind of break it down piece by piece.
Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking.
All right, now we're going to let y'all listen to something here. And this is our deepest fears from the movie Coach Carter. Okay? Y'all take a listen.
It's not that we are natural. It is that we are powerful and not natural. It's our light, not our darkness that is bright. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You will always shine as children. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we are constantly give other people
So, long story short, we're not going to get a video, so sorry about that. You got to change it a little bit. But, okay. So the first thing in the video, one of the first segments in the speech, he was talking about how you're not inadequate, but you're powerful beyond measure. So a lot of times in life, because stuff beats us up, because we don't have, a lot of the things that we want in life, we feel like we're inadequate. But that's not the case, because if you really look in the mirror, you're powerful beyond measure. But sometimes we allow people to tell us that we're not enough, okay? So that's the whole first part of this particular speech in our deepest fears. The next part is this. When we look at it from the standpoint, when we look at it from the standpoint of, when we look at it from the standpoint of gifts, and we look at it from the standpoint of how you mentioned that sometimes, I'm sorry, but this has just been going, this hasn't been going the way I wanted it. When we look at it from the standpoint of being gifted, like you mentioned, you're a gifted drummer, okay? When you're a gifted drummer, it does not make sense for you not to go and exercise your gift just because everybody else does not get it. Just because the next guy's not as good of a drummer as you are, that doesn't mean that you should not go and shine. The best example is this. If you're a great basketball player, and you know you can score 50 points in the first half, does it make sense for you to go and just take it light because you know you can score 50 and nobody's going to give you any runs? Huh? Does that make sense to do that? Because think about this. If I know that I can score 50 points, right, and I'm playing against you, if I'm playing hard, what does that force you to So if I take it light, then I'm giving you a break. So therefore, you're not going to play hard. If you're on my team, if me and you are on the same team, and I can score 50 points, and you want to get the game too, what do you have to do? If you're on my team, what do you have to do?
You have to follow the entire directions, and you have to play basketball.
That's right. That's right.
You have to play basketball.
That's right. But if you're on my team and I'm playing hard, it's going to force you to step your game up too, right? You got it? So if you have a gift, don't hide that gift just because other people don't understand or they're not quite on that level, because you're doing them a disservice by not living up to your full potential. Because by you living up to your full potential, it brings everybody else along with you. You got it? You got it? So that was the second part of the video that we were going to see that we couldn't see. The second part of it is this. We are all designed to shine. You're all designed to shine. Everybody in here is designed to shine in something. We're not all designed to shine in everything. But there's something in your life that you're designed to shine in. There's something in your life that you're designed to do. It might be as simple as, I'm really good with Legos. I put things together really well. You know, I can put little models and all that kind of stuff together. Maybe I'm supposed to do something in architecture. Maybe I'm supposed to be. That's right. Hold on one second. Okay. Okay, my man. Hold on one second. Hold on, wait. Wait. I'm going to ask some questions in a second, okay? Hold on one second. But that's good enthusiasm. I appreciate it. Good job. But regardless of what you have talents in, regardless of what you have skills in, you know, don't hesitate to let those things shine. But realize, hold on, man. We are all meant to shine in something. We all have different gifts. And actually, his enthusiasm is awesome. His enthusiasm is really awesome because he's the one that's actually speaking out and wanting to get involved, which is good, and we can all learn from that. Something like that needs to be nurtured, needs to be built on, needs to be developed. That could be somebody that's going to be a leader. I know you're smiling and all, but that's where it starts, and that's a good thing. So I applaud my man for wanting to speak up and get involved. Okay? That's where it starts. That's where you start noticing gifts. That's where you start noticing talents. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, we have to look at some different folks. And sometimes by looking at people, it makes you understand and makes you see how a gift can be nurtured, developed, and then grown into something. Has anybody ever heard of a guy named Lewis Carl Hamilton? You heard of him? What's he done? That's right, he's in racing. Well, check this out. Lewis Carl Hamilton is from London. He's from the UK. He's from across the pond. He's from another country. But he's a 3-time Formula One world champion. Does anybody know what Formula One is? Great, driving those fast, the funny looking fast cars? Yeah. He's a 3-time world champion doing it. And look at him. He looks like one of us. He looks like you and me. He's the first black driver to race in Formula One. That's big time. Somebody you probably never heard of. But what's interesting, and this goes back to the notion of gift, and I'm saying don't squash anything that you have naturally, any talent that you have, don't squash it. When he was, in 1991, when he was 6 years old, his father bought him a remote control car. And over there they had some little racing leagues where you could race the Hold on. That's awesome, man. They can race remote control cars. He finished second in the National Racing League the second year after having a remote control car. He had a gift or a talent up front. The next year, his father bought him a little go-kart, and he started racing in go-karts at the age of 6. And then he started age of 8. His father bought him a go-kart at the age of 6. He started racing and playing with it, and at the age of 8, he started racing go-karts. So from the age of 8 to I think he was 16, 17 when he signed a professional driving contract with Formula One. He started his professional career. But long story short, it all started from him racing remote control cars. You see what I'm saying? He had a gift early on when it comes to racing. And it all started at the age of 6 with a remote control car. So like I said, You might have a talent that you don't even realize is a talent. Somebody like this started racing remote control cars, and now he's a world champion. He won the world championship 3 times. And he looks like you. That's amazing. Talents and gifts come in all forms. Okay? That's one. Has anybody ever heard of Jamel Larkins? Anybody ever heard of Jamel Larkins? Okay. Well, at age of 15, he founded his first company, Larkins Enterprises. It's an aviation, which is airplane stuff. Aviation sales and advertising company. Since its inception, he's transformed Larkins Enterprises into 2 successful business units. Ascension Aviation in Atlanta, Georgia, and he sells and leases airplanes. So he basically instead of selling cars, he sells and leases airplanes. Okay? His company has generated over $7.5 million in sales. This started when he was 15. But let's go back a little bit. At the age of 12, and I'm from Augusta, Georgia, so this guy's from Augusta, Georgia. At the age of 12, they had this little aviation program for kids. So he took the flight aviation program when he was a kid, 12 years old, fell in love with it. He came to find out he had a gift when it comes to aviation. He had a gift when it comes to flying. He fell in love with it. Falling in love with his first flight, he decided that he would do whatever it took to continue flying. And so when he was 13, he came to find out that he was not legal to fly a plane by himself. So he went to Canada, where at the age of 14, he was one of the youngest pilots to ever fly an aircraft in Canada. But long story short, it all started with what? What are we talking about? A gift. He had a gift when it comes to flying. You see what I'm saying? He was exposed to it at 12. How many of y'all are under 12 right now? How many people are 12 years old or younger? Okay. How many? It's okay, but you're under 12. It's okay. So you're talking about a guy who, at around the same age as y'all, hold on, who's 15 in here? By the time he was 15, he started a company. At 12, he got exposed to flying and fell in love with it. He had a gift when it comes to flying. Once again, don't squash a gift. Don't squash it. It might not be something that anybody else can do. Question, how many of his homeboys do y'all think are flying planes? Zero. And if he fell into the trap of, I want to do everything just because my homeboys are going to do it, he would never be where he is today. You got it? Don't squash your gift. Don't squash the talent that might be inside of you. All right, the last example, y'all all know who this is, right? Huh? Who is it? Kendrick Lamar. All right, I don't have to put a lot up here because everybody knows about Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar has won 7 Grammys, which is basically the highest honor that you can win in music, right? He's from Compton, California. Everybody knows LA is Compton, all of that. You've heard about it. What's interesting, let's take it a little farther back. In 2004, when he was 16, he released his full-length project. So we didn't hear about it until a few years later. He released the full project when he was 16. But I'm going to take you even a step back behind that. I was watching a documentary on TV probably about a year ago when they were highlighting just the rappers from Los Angeles. And they highlighted Kendrick Lamar. The thing that was interesting about Kendrick Lamar, they went back to his high school. They talked to some of his high school teachers. A lot of his high school teachers, every last one of them stepped up and said, from an early age, he had a gift with words. He could put words on paper and organize words in a way that no other student he had could do. He wasn't the greatest student, but he had a gift with words. So what did he start off with, y'all? What are we talking about here? He started off with a gift. He started off with a gift. Now the end product, he's on everything, you see him all over the place, but he started out with a gift. You got it? But once again, what do you have to do with gifts? We mentioned this earlier. What do you have to do with gifts? You have to develop it. Every last person that we mentioned there developed their gift. Kendrick Lamar continued to develop his gift. He released albums. He worked with producers. He did his thing. Jamel Larkins, he continued to work on his aviation craft. He continued to fly, and build, and learn the business. Lewis Carl Hamilton. He started racing little remote control cars, moved to go-karts. Then he jumped into Formula One years later, but he continued to develop his craft. They started with a gift, but they built on it. Okay? Y'all understand that? So are we firmly understand gifts? Does everybody understand gifts? Okay? Do you think when you go home today, huh? That's right, don't squash your gift. One thing I want you to do is when you go home today, I want you to think about yourself. I want you to look in the mirror and think about what areas am I really gifted in. It might be something that's way off in left field somewhere, that's okay. But what areas am I gifted in? And tonight I want you to write those down. Before you go to bed, write down where you think you have some gifts, where you have some talents, where you have some natural ability. And at that point, those are things that you can build upon. Those are things that you can start working on so that you can be the best version of yourself. Because you have a higher ceiling when you work out of your gifts. Okay? So that's point one, gifts. The second point, gifts plus why equals enough. So we're going to talk about why. When I ask you why you do something, what is the why behind you doing something? So if you're going somewhere and I ask you why, what does that mean? Say what else? The reason. The reason. Is there any other definition for why for anybody? If I say why are you doing something, what does that mean? Reasons are very different. Anybody else got a response? Anybody? Anybody? Thoughts? Okay. That's actually spot on. The reason behind it. But when you think about the reason behind it, a lot of times we're not honest about our why. Okay? A lot of times when people ask you why you do something, you can say this because I want to, and you let it go. The challenge is to keep asking yourself why until you can't ask yourself why anymore. Keep asking yourself why until you can't answer that anymore. Like, actually, Reggie, come here. Participation for a second. We're going to get to the why. Because the thing is, once you truly understand your why, then that actually gives you the motivation to keep going. Because as you pursue things in life, stuff gets hard. Okay? And if you don't really have a true why of why you're doing something, then truthfully, you're going to give up. So, you started I didn't impress you.
Okay, I kind of figured.
Okay. Okay. You started UUNIK Academy. Why did you start UUNIK Academy?
It was just, I've been working with kids for so long. I guess I inherited it from my father. My father had a barber shop. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. My father had a barber shop. And he, in the neighborhood in Memphis, he was probably one of the few black men that most of the kids in that neighborhood ever saw. And so what he did was, growing up, I was under my father, and he cut hair, he kind of nurtured young males. And so I guess I inherited that. So when I was, friends can tell you, when I was in college, when I graduated, it's just something, I just found my passion with kids. And I was good at it. And so my why is because, I don't know, I'm just that type of dude who just nurtures. It's just part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody said they sing. How long have you been singing? So when you start singing, it just felt good. It felt natural. It just felt like it was always right. That's kind of what me working with young people is. I don't know. It's hard to explain my why. You know, that's a deep question because I never thought about why. So to that point, why do you think you have a passion for young people? That's a good question. Oh, wow. And see, this is tough. And see, when you start asking why, and this is the whole thing, for a lot of things in my life, when I'm making a decision about something, I keep asking myself why until I can't ask it anymore. Because at the end of the day, that gets to the root of why you're doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, I'll give an example. I'm going to and he didn't get to the root of it. See, it's hard. It's hard. But that's something I'm going to challenge you to do. Like, I think about myself, okay? Like, why do I want to come and speak here? Okay? Like, okay, you want to
inspire the young brothers to be the best version of themselves. Why do I want to do that? Well, and this is me talking to myself, like talking back and forth to myself on my life when it comes to speaking here today. It's like, y'all want to inspire the young brothers to be the best version of themselves. But why do you want to do that? Well, because I can see myself in their shoes because I was a young brother at one point. Well, why is that so important to you? Well, there were a lot of men that poured into my life growing up. Well, why was that so important for them? Well, I grew up in a situation where, yes, my mom and my dad were together, but I also grew up where crack cocaine was pretty much within the midst of my household. So I saw the other side of life. And if I didn't have mentors, if I didn't have people pour into my life, if I didn't have coaches, if I didn't have, pastors and people throughout the community step up and be that missing figure, that missing piece into my life, then I don't know where I would have been. So when I really get back to the notion of why I would want to come speak to y'all, that's my why. It's not just because I want to speak or just because I want to talk to y'all, because y'all look like me and I can see myself in you. No, it gets deeper than that. And see, the whole point of really taking time, and the reason we're throwing this out here, and it's kind of deep for young folks, but it's something that if you learn it on the front end, you learn it as a young kid, it gives you the motivation to stick through when stuff gets tough. When you start working a job that you don't like, you're ready to quit. But then you have to step back and think about, well, why am I doing it? Well, I have a family. Well, why do I need to do this? Because you have bills, you have this, you have that. Things get tough in life. Even when you're pursuing your gift, if you say you're gifted in track, you have to really think about why is it that I want to pursue track? Because there's going to come a time when your body's going to hurt, when your mind is like whatever. I hadn't won a race in I don't know how many years, and I'm willing to quit. But my why for doing it is going to give you that motivation to keep pushing forward. So do y'all understand the real reason, not just the surface reason, but understanding the real reason behind why you do something? Do y'all understanding that? What I'm talking about here when it comes to why? Really? Does anybody know what they want to be when they grow up? What's up? What do you want to do when you grow up? You're going to be a lawyer and a sports agent. Come on, come on. We're going to play a little bit, okay? All right. So you're going to be a lawyer and a sports agent. Why? Okay. So what's so important? Why do you feel the passion behind this hanging out around home?
Yes, because
You said you like helping people. Okay. Why do you like helping people?
this is what I think
Why is that so important for you to do with your grandfather and your family? It's deep, right? It's deep. But the thing is, that's something that I want to challenge you to do on a regular basis. Just keep asking why until you get to that point where I really understand the true why I'm doing this. It could be something that you don't want to tell the public. It could be something that's what's really driving you. But at the end of the day, that's what you have to identify. Identify your why, because when classes get hard, when your girlfriend's tripping, when something happens going on in life, you're going to be like, I don't know where to keep going. But when you go back to that real why, not the one maybe that you tell everybody, but that real why, whatever it is that motivates you, that's going to keep you going. You can do it, but you got to really identify your why, your true why, not just the service. Okay? Good stuff. Keep it up, though. It's good stuff. Good stuff. But the whole point of this, once again, gifts plus why equals enough. So if you take time tonight and you go home and you write down your gifts and you understand where I have skills, where I have natural ability, where I have talent, and you just put that on your mirror, you put that under your bed, you put that in your notebook or wherever you got it, put it somewhere where you can see it on a regular basis. Look at it on a regular basis. But then take time to identify your why. Not your, the why that you say, oh, because I feel like it, or just because I'm good, just because I'm fast. No, your real why. Why am I doing something? Take time to do that. Because if you do that as a young man, it makes it a lot easier later on in life. But with those two things, like I mentioned, gifts plus why equals enough. If you have those two things in check, if you have those two things just under wraps, if you can clearly identify your gifts and know what those are, know what your talents are, know what your natural abilities are, if you truly can identify your why, what really is driving you, not just what sounds good, not just what your homeboys are saying, but if you can truly identify your why, you will always be enough. You will always be enough. When you listen to anybody speak about their story, like when they really get into it, they can get down and tell you why I do what I do. It's not just because of sales records and whatever. No, they can get down and tell you that. Not just because I like fast cars. No, they can really get down and tell you why I push through all the stuff to do what I do. But that's something on the front end as kids, as young men, that if you can develop, because I mean, for a lot of us adults, if we're honest about it, we might not have done that ourselves. That's why if you look at studies, 75% of people hate their job. Because they're doing stuff that they don't like doing, that's not gifted, they're not gifted, they have no natural ability. Then they don't really have a why to identify why they do something. That's the grown people. That's the grown people. And so, if y'all can start your life off with understanding your gifts, your talents, your natural abilities, understanding your why, your real why, like we were just talking about, your real why, that's a challenge, right? Even Mr. Reggie saw it was a challenge, like, man, that's hard. And for me, it's hard. But it's something I challenge myself to do on a very regular basis. If we can effectively do that, you will always be enough, and nobody can ever tell you that you're not enough. No matter what they say, you know within you that, yeah, you're just saying something. But I know I'm good. I know I got it. It's not about even telling them. It's just about the fact that you know it. Because if you know it, you can do it. All right? What's up, my man?
I'm going to be a dinosaur when I grow up.
You gonna be a dinosaur? You know what? You can be anything that you want. You literally can be anything that you want. And like I said, the thing about it, we're not gonna laugh because who knows what that turns into. That thought process, that ability to think about stuff outside of what's normal to everybody else. What does that lead to? What does that lead to? So feed that. Feed that. Feed that. Okay, well, we'll see about that. Maybe you'll build some application that makes dinosaurs or something. That'd be awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's only like one or two ladies in the back. So, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all giving me your time. But what's the title of what we worked on today? Gifts plus equals nothing. And what are y'all supposed to do tonight when you go home? Right? Say that again? That's right. Write down a list of gifts you have. And then what are you also supposed to challenge yourself on? So what? What kind of the real why? Keep asking why until you can't ask why anymore. Okay? And then when you have those two pieces in place, what does that equal? Gifts plus why equals what? What does that equal? Enough for what? What does that mean? Enough for what? It's a trick question, but enough for what? Try it. For anything. That's enough for anything. You can do anything that you put your mind to, you can do it. Once you understand your gifts, your talents, your skills, once you understand your why, your real why, you're enough for anything. You just got to do it. You got to put the work in. You got to unwrap that gift. You got to train. You got to eat right. You got to do everything you need to do if you want to be the track guy, right? You got to do all. You got to unwrap it. You got to develop it. But that's pretty much the business. So let's see. I guess we got a couple. This is going to be kind of a scenario which y'all vote on. Who were the three people who were the most vocal or the most interactive? Who do y'all think? Who was the most interactive? Oh, man. Here we go. Thank you for being interactive. I appreciate your questions. All right, who else? Fellas, y'all vote on. Who do you think? Who else was? Which one? Y'all just pointed in the direction of the wall. Appreciate it. Thank you for your interaction. All right, who was the third most interactive from a consensus perspective? Huh? Who do y'all think? I'm looking for the most famous. Huh? Yes, I see one in this direction. Y'all paying right? All right. Appreciate it. Hey, well, thank y'all. Definitely, gifts plus why equals enough. Always realize that. Tonight, write down your gifts. Take time to understand your why. But always, no matter what anybody tells you, realize that you're always enough. All right? Appreciate it.
Real quickly, you got a survey in your folder. Get your folders. It's the first, it should be on the right side, I think. But fill out that survey real quick. X plus Y equals enough. You don't, just make sure it's the right one. I got several surveys. On the top of it says X plus Y equals enough. See it? That's it. It should be the first one. Make sure you got the right one. That's it. Fill it out. That's the first one. X plus Y equals enough. See? Just fill it out real quick and put it back in your phone. Well, no, give it to Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell and Mr. Hodge is gonna collect it. Just collect the survey.
Just raise it up and do whatever.
No, I meant the place. That's why I didn't answer. I got here at like 8:45. We called it like 9 something. Nah, I got it up here.
What about HR?
Thank you.
He doesn't have a survey. It should be another folder. It's an extra folder. Look at this folder. Sorry. My bad. Hurry up, fill the survey out, though. Don't take all